Are we all good? Are we good? Can we go? How's it? Lekker. We're at the Lekker store, and it's our debut of doing a video podcast. We have a Lekker guest here today with us, and I just am so excited to actually do this because the real inspiration behind doing a video, even though I don't know much about video recording, is really about bringing the South African schmark for people to see when we're having these conversations about why they left and their experience on leaving and where they've landed and just a little history of them. So we're grateful to the Lekker store for giving us the space. Thank you to Jessica and Emilio, who have been running the Lekker store now for 5 months. And we will be doing the next podcast with them. So let's welcome Noah Maisel.
Oh, yeah.
How's it, Noah?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I'm so excited.
Lekker, man.
Yeah.
So, before we get into it, we've got a Lekker fantastic Fanta Orange from South Africa here sold at the Lekker store. So I just need to take a sip.
Yeah, I think I'll join you on that one.
Lekker.
Oh, that sounds,
Yeah.
that makes me just think of home, make me think of South Africa.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, so let's get into it. Born in 2002. Lighty, hey?
I guess still quite young. Yeah, I'd like to still tell myself that. But yeah.
Yeah. So how was it growing up in Cape Town?
Yeah, it was a super interesting time. I think growing up, I had a really good family background. And yeah, they are very close to them. And that really, they helped me grow up and really, get through times. But I mean, growing up in South Africa is the best place.
Yeah.
If we talk about it, I know we're currently sitting in the Netherlands, in Europe, but nothing compares to it. You know, being in nature, the culture, the people, it's just such an amazing culture, such an amazing vibe, such interesting people to meet. And I think nothing really compares to it.
Yeah. I must say to you, when you talk about South Africa and growing up, what comes to mind is that a lot of people I've spoken to, it's all about the family vibes. And even though the Netherlands are very welcoming people, I don't see that family tie to a lot of the families here. Like obviously the kids are around the parents, but it's never like the every Saturday afternoon or every Sunday afternoon visiting the grandparents, visiting the cousins, playing around, being in that space of safety and support, in the gardens, in the pool, the space, the nature, the oceans for Cape Town.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I mean, I currently live with a lot of Dutch people, and they're my roommates. And often they moved out at 18 years old. And, in their culture, that's normal to them. But I find that when I was, 16, 17, 18 growing up, if I had time on a weekend or whatever it was, even weekdays, I always I would finish school and then, do some extramurals or something. But then I'll go back home, chill with my brother, chill with family. And it's just, I think that culture of going back home and just having somewhere where you feel, just very comfortable, you're still able to have a good time, be productive. And I think that culture of just going somewhere where you feel loved and just being able to, just...
The warmth.
Yeah.
The warmth. I mean, there's love, but then there's the warmth, that real, I don't know, the Dutch call it gezellig here, but it's even doesn't describe it for me. It's that real feeling of comfort and maybe the economy and the way that life is and has been in South Africa and the struggles and the adversities makes you more family orientated because you've got your family, and they will always be there through thick and thin. And I mean, saying this as well, growing up in Cape Town, having that ocean, I lived in Joburg, so for me I was always we went to Cape Town, we went to Durban every year religiously, but I always dreamed of being a kid that grew up in a space that had this ocean.
Yeah.
And then you add Table Mountain to it, And you were born at the Christian Barnard Memorial Hospital, which is interesting because Christian Barnard, let me not shorten his name, was the first heart transplant from human to human. He was the first surgeon that attempted it. And so the Christian, and then he passed away in 2001.
Oh, wow.
And then you were born in 2002.
Yeah, very interesting.
So he was September 2001.
Yeah.
And you were born November 2002. And so it's interesting because it's again, that understanding of there's greatness in South Africa. There's good people. There's a dynamic sense of kinship, and to help the brother and the next underprivileged, because there's a lot of stuff going down there.
Yeah.
And then you've got Lithuanian heritage, so that's interesting. Dad's side, right?
Yes. So my dad's side, it was one of the reasons why I came to Europe, or the Netherlands specifically myself. It really gave me the opportunity. I must say, though, it's for anyone that may want to do it or who can. It's a lot of work. It took us about 2 years to be able to get. Plus, it's very expensive. So I would say do it at your own risk, but it gives you the opportunities to come here, to be able to work, to be able to travel as much as you can. So to be fair, I see it as a golden ticket.
Yeah, I also say that. It's like the golden ticket that I never want to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do get you, because when we did our process, my brother and I came here in 2009. Our grandparents are from Antwerp and from Den Haag. And we came exploring just to see what the vibe was like, still with just the green Mamba passport. Got our visas, got onto the land here, and we were like, wow, this is amazing. And then we thought to ourselves, well, let's check it out in the heritage. But 2009, to finally only get it with a lot of money spent and a lot of back and forth, I only got because I was the one leading it, I only got mine in 2014. And then the rest of my family in 2015. So from 2009 to 2014, but it was well worth it.
Yeah.
Because it does give you opportunities. So that's what I loved about it, you know?
Yeah.
And did you, what sports were you into when you were growing up? What was you said you'd go and do your extramurals. What was those?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think compared to doing sport here and in South Africa, so I grew up doing karate. I started when I was 7 years old. I know a lot of people hear karate and they're like, it's a general thing.
Me, son.
Yeah, that people do, but yeah, 100%. You start off there, you have to. But I did it I've been doing it my whole life now. And I think like the sport itself really taught me many things, not just, how to protect myself and to be able to be in a combat situation, but it just taught me my coach that I had back in South Africa. He was really like my second father. He just really taught me so much discipline.
Oh, that's amazing.
He really just taught me how to act in certain situations, and the friends I had in that background were not just your typical type of Cape Town people. They were just the most loving and caring people, and they also taught me a lot of just important life lessons. They've not necessarily, don't want to say come from a different socioeconomic background to me, but they started off somewhere different for sure.
Yeah.
And they've really built themselves up. And for me to be able to see that, it's been amazing for me to be able to be friends with these type of people and those type of families, because as you know, in South Africa, the culture is so different, and to be able to learn about this and to be able to have friends from that and not just be stuck in my own bubble.
It's humbling, hey?
Yeah, and I think sports in general has taught me that 100%.
My brother would agree with you for sure there, sure. Sports is the most important. And I remember as well, I was very much into sports growing up, and I had a father and a mother, but a father who really pushed for us to achieve in the sports arena, because he was very sporty himself. He ran 14 comrades marathons, like amazing. Best time in 6 hours. Very cool. But he also used to show us that by training and having the discipline and getting yourself prepared for a competition and putting the work behind it and really getting yourself to push to those levels of understanding that he had 3 Ds: discipline, dedication, and determination. And for him, it was always about if you want to achieve anything in life, not just a sporting event, you got to keep that same mindset in. And the other day I actually thought about it, because I'm going through some tough things as well, and I'm being called to stand up for myself and to speak my truth. And to be very honest, I still thought about that. I was like, remember when I had to do that race, and I was like, I really wanted to win that trophy, and I trained and I put the discipline, and I also met people and was in communities from different backgrounds, and realizing what are you worried about? Look how well your life is. Look at this person, And I think that's where we're privileged, because as much as it's we're looking at underprivileged, I think it's a privilege to be able to help the underprivileged.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think that there are different opportunities that people are able to get in South Africa, But I think like when I look back at South African people, one of the biggest thing that motivates me is that, for example, we look at our rugby currently, and you know, a lot of them come from all different backgrounds and things like that. And now we're the world champions, we're the best in the world, and I feel it really like uplifts the nation itself.
Yeah.
It's for example, our captain Sia Khaleesi is the most amazing person,
Inspiring,
super inspiring.
Yeah.
And I think as a South African, even though I may not be living there, it really makes me believe in what we can do. And because still, like to this day, if I go do sports, I'm still representing South Africa. And I think a lot of people will have these preconceptions about how you act or what your level should be. And I think if you're really thinking back to your roots and you really believe that you can do it, and as I say, I think I'm very much inspired by the Springboks all the time. So it's amazing to see.
I think they're amazing for our country. They really give the country a solidarity and a unity that is global. And it's like, if I speak to anybody, it's about that passion and power that connects in this driven understanding that we are one. We are, you know, I am because you are, that Ubuntu. Yep. And I think ultimately for me in life is that sports has brought that through, because it's a thing of bringing yourself together. You have to come as a team. It's not one person that wins it. It's a team that comes together. And that's difficult, bringing different people in different aspects and life circumstances. And, he had a shit day yesterday and he's fighting with this one. And you've got to bring that all together, and then having the crowd as well. And then, like you say, you feel that possibility. You become alive with this possibility of greatness.
Yeah, that's that word you brought up, Ubuntu. It actually means quite a lot to me, because another thing I did was I played football, also growing up from also a very young age at 4 years old. And I lived in Fish Hoek, which is...
I love Fish Hoek.
Yeah, to the
Windy.
Fish Hoek homies, yeah. It's very windy, but to me the most beautiful place.
I have a memory of
the
Fish
people,
Hoek.
yeah, it's amazing. And I played football on the local grounds in Fish Hoek. And when I was quite young, there was this academy called Ubuntu. And the owners of them, they came from America. And what their aim was to scout a lot of, eventually once you get like 12 years old and you actually develop, to scout players all around South Africa. Generally either giving people opportunities or just scouting talent that's not recognized and they can't afford, you know, a football equipment, a good scholarship to play. And I played for this team. And from there, now people who, you know, generally didn't have a lot of opportunities, they are now playing for Supersport United. They're playing for the South African national team. And I would play with these guys, and the Ubuntu itself, they would provide them a school. They provided housing. They did, it was amazing what they do. They're still currently working on it. So growing up, I was super happy to be involved in a project like that when it was being developed.
It's in your blood, eh?
Yeah, 100%.
That's what you're doing again today.
Yeah.
Just to come back to the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
I say that because when I read that in your bio that you did karate, I was always like, I loved karate, because of the fact that there was that Karate Kid in the 90s, I think it was. Not the new Karate Kid, but the old one with Ralph Macchio, my first crush. I loved it so much, and I have a memory of watching it at the drive-in. I don't know when you were growing up if that was still popular. But in my day, like, the drive-in was a thing to do, you know, popcorn, chewing gum, all that kind of vibe, sit outside the car with the speakers. Yep. It was very, very retro, but very, very enjoyable. And, I'm just wondering what inspired you with the karate. Where was that? I know you said you got to be with people that were inspiring, but what was that niche in you to do karate, you know, because...
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say it's extremely deep. But I was actually just with my mom, and we watched the Jaden Smith Karate Kid in 2010.
So it's also Karate Kid inspiration.
It also was a Karate Kid inspiration, 100%. Those movies, they get you.
Wax on, wax off.
Exactly.
Wax on, Mr. Miyagi.
But
I loved him.
In general, as a kid, yes, I found it interesting. But looking back at it, it wasn't so simple. Of course, I think in that movie, for example, in all the Karate Kids, he was going through, you know, I don't know if you know the movie exactly, but he had to move to... I know,
it's so backwards.
Yeah, to a different country, and which is a very similar situation to me now, and he had to really see all the different cultures, see the different people, and his way of, you know, really combating this and be able to, like, really, you know, see himself and to improve
face
himself.
His own demons, and to actually get into a space where, like you say, he comes in as the outsider, has to integrate in, but then finds himself amongst a whole lot of bullies. Doesn't have to be physical bullies, it can be any kind of bullies, because there are cliques and there are people out there that are insecure, and so they form these points of, oh, here comes somebody sparkling like a South African. I always call us like a firecracker. And like you walk into a room and it's like, papa. And people are like, what? Because they're not used to this kind of color and vibe that you walk in. And that's another reason. I mean, you can even see now I'm working with my hands. And often I have to kind of like put my hands down because it's almost like I walk in and people probably think that I'm putting on a performance, but I'm actually just being me and real. And I think that with the Karate Kid, I was also always inspired. I had a lot of bullying going on. It happens in every generation. It doesn't matter when you're born. And I do remember feeling to myself that I wanted to do karate so that I could also find that space of what Mr. Miyagi was teaching. You know, that dedication, discipline, determination gets you to the winner, the underdog.
No, 100%.
You know?
I think also, like, now that I think about it, for kids or anyone, it doesn't matter whether it's martial art or sports or whatever you're doing, whether you're making a business, whether you're doing art, whatever it may be, I think just something like perseverance, something like really dedicating yourself to something, really improving yourself, being able to dive deep into something, really teaches a person confidence, which I feel like can take into your day-to-day life. I feel like a lot of people these days, when they do sports or, as I say, anything else, a lot of people tend to, give up, try different things, move on to different things. And I think it's one thing in which people can, let's say, work on a lot, even myself, because in terms of just being able to really identify what you want to do in life, where you want to go with yourself. And I think, to me, I've thought about it a lot, and I think it can be a very simple question. It's like, what is your passions? What do you want to do? What do you actually enjoy? Because at the end of the day, if you go get a 9-to-5 job, you'll probably make money or support yourself. But if that job were to fail or something, are you actually enjoying yourself? Will you actually say, I lived a good life? And I think it's a very important question to consider.
But I think that's important that we just stop on that point now, because as you're talking about it, I'm thinking to myself, right, you're 22. Right, at 22, I was out in the workforce. I believe that this inspirational speaking and this understanding of the possibilities that exist come from your generation. I still come from a generation where it was get a job. Study something, but get a job. You need to get a job, you need to be working, you need to be out there. Obviously, that's my road that I traveled, so I'm happy with it. But when I look and see you and my niece and other people of the ages of like 20 to say even 28, 29, I can see that alive with possibilities. You come from a generation of kids that are now able to become millionaires just from posting videos on YouTube. And that's so ironic, because here we're sitting in front of a video, and it's the first thing I said to you when I saw you. Like, I'm so nervous to do this on a camera. Like, the camera comes up and I'm just like, oh my God, what am I going to do? This is like, hi, my name's Janine, just be normal. But your generation is all about like, listen, this is natural, this is normal. In my day, we were taking films to go and get developed with the negatives. And you had to make sure that you took the right photo because you only had 12. And you guys come from a space where it's like digital and delete and you can take many. So it's important to understand that what you're saying holds a very generational thing, which is amazing. Because let's let go of the scarcity, poverty, Second World War aftermath. And let's move forward into this understanding, what's my passion? And then if I'm going to shoot my target, what am I... Like, if I'm a bow and arrow in my hand, what am I shooting for? So many of us are just like, pow, pow. Let's see where it lands. No, with that laser focus, what is your passion? What makes you happy?
Yeah,
Not what brings you money. What makes you happy?
Yeah, of course, every risk that you take needs to be calculated. Can't just be like, I'm going to dive into something and hopefully it works out.
Come live in my world.
Yeah. To be fair, you can live a good life. It will be very fun, I'll say that.
Honestly, okay, but I do get it. You need to have a little bit of grounding.
Yeah, 100%. But I think as you say, in our generation, maybe it's a bit different. But I think it's nice to think about, even when you're young, to not put too much pressure on it. For all the young people that are listening, but also just to say, like, really put yourself in a situation where you look at yourself in 10 years and say, are you doing what you enjoy? Do you love it? And did you succeed and achieve your goals? Did you work hard enough? And I think like those questions are super important to like look at, especially while you're young, for sure.
Yeah, I get you. And I think ultimately, then you got to go through your schooling, and then you got to the point where you left school to come here. Can you talk us through that process? What was it that made you decide, hey, I'm not going to go study in South Africa, I'm going to move on to go in somewhere else? European passport, let me see, where am I going to land? What was it that drove you to leave South Africa to come here? And because of the Lithuanian heritage, why did you choose the Netherlands?
Yeah, no, all very good questions. I think for me, what drove me originally to just leave South Africa, it's not that I had anything against it, or let's say there's less opportunities there. I know I do speak about the great opportunities here, but I also think we have great universities there. Obviously, my family was back home, and as you say, the nature, the vibe, the culture, you can never, exchange that. So for me, it was not that necessarily, but it was a personal decision. I really wanted to broaden myself, and I thought, because it's often that, because jobs are a bit harder to get in South Africa, that you stay at home a bit longer. And for me, I was like, I just want to try something different. I want to really be able to do the simple things like cooking and cleaning and just making important decisions, having responsibility. And I thought it would be the best thing since I have the European passport, to take the risk and to move somewhere else. I think the Netherlands specifically, since, of course, Afrikaans is a bit of a background, and it's quite an English...
And they speak English, yes.
Very dominant English-speaking country, which helps a lot. So... and just in general, jobs are easy to get 100%. They're very much available, as well as just really good opportunities. And
also close to the other European countries, so that you can also go and check it out. Have you been back to Lithuania, or have you been to Lithuania? Let's ask that question.
I have not, unfortunately. So you may
list.
not. Yeah, it's on the bucket list 100%. Because I have an older brother, and he's also Lithuanian, and I would love to travel around with him. And maybe.
So you have one sibling, older brother.
Yes, I have an older brother.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where is he now?
So he's currently in South Africa.
Okay.
We are quite different people, to put it like that.
Amazing how two people can make so many sets of children, or so many children, and they can all be different. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. No, but he's doing some amazing things. We're very close in terms of our relationship. But he's an actor. So I do more.
Stunning.
Yeah, and he's working on some very cool projects. He just does. He has 2 companies that he's currently launched.
Oh wow! Still living in Cape Town.
Yes, still living in Cape Town.
Cape Town's the place for that kind of vibe, hey?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So one of them, very interestingly, I don't know if you know much about it, but it's called Bake Shakespeare. And it's like what they do, basically they integrate Shakespeare and weed together.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what the censorship on talking about this type of stuff on here.
No, it's cool. I mean, we're in the Netherlands. Come on now. They have a coffee shop around the corner that you can go and get a gram from. Come on.
Fair enough. But yeah, it's just to keep it short. They do Shakespeare and weed, where they do the show, and the actors will hit a bong on stage.
Oh,
and
this is so amazing.
They do a comedy, and the audience members will pick, let's say, 2 cast members out of the 5. So they're all trained professionals. They all, really know what they're doing, but they can also handle weed. They can act. They can do comedy.
They're using it as a medium to get them to be more expansive and be able to get into that performance state.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely marvelous, honestly. And if you could give us the link to that, we'd love to put that onto the description below of this upload. 100%. And actually, just to get some punt their way, I'm going to go and check it out.
Yeah, I think one of the projects, sorry to talk, I just love speaking about my brother, but...
no, this is all part of who you are. So listen, there's no hold back here. This is a conversation. There's no guidelines. We're chatting, so... Yeah,
because one of the things he's doing now, it's called the Trevor Noah Show, and he plays they have a fictional character that, they dresses up as Trevor Noah, they do all the makeup, and they basically get guests from South Africa, but the whole point is not necessarily to make it a comedy show, but to celebrate South Africans. Okay. And to bring in either famous African people or upcoming people and just interview them and celebrate them, and to just have fun with it. So they're doing that now.
That's amazing. And you know her. And when you were talking to me on WhatsApp when we were setting this up, I was thinking to myself, wouldn't it be great if we could kind of have a podcast interview with Trevor Noah? You know, obviously wonderful to have you here, Noah. But your name just sparked the Trevor Noah, and then you got your brother doing a skit on him. So that's actually really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it can spark a little bit of controversy because obviously you're paying someone like Trevor Noah. And that's if you're playing like a different character and whatever. But yeah, I think
you'll take it in good spirit.
Yeah, I would hope he would be able to watch it and actually come on the show one day. I mean, that would obviously be the most optimal thing.
Maybe this podcast launches it, that he comes and does a podcast with us, and he goes to your brother's show. Huh?
Yeah.
What are the infinite possibilities?
Yeah.
Shout out to Trevor if you're listening. Yussus, but
yeah.
Oh man, that's so cool. Nice. And your brother's name is?
He's Jake.
Jake. Okay, lekker, man. Yeah. How much older than you is he?
So he's 25 years old.
Okay. So not such a big gap.
Yeah.
You miss him, hey?
I do miss him. Yeah, I miss the fam back home, of course. There's nothing like it.
I know. It's hectic. I have a sister still living in South Africa and a niece and a brother-in-law and just like other aunts and cousins. And I'm just like, I miss them all. I miss them all. I miss the Sunday gatherings, the lunchtimes, the braai,
Yeah,
the braai and the swim with the sunny weather. And that's amazing. So today we're sitting in 13 degrees maximum, I think minimum 8. It said no rain on the radar, but there was rain. And I looked over just in curiosity to see what Johannesburg's rocking today, and it's like 28 degrees, full sun. And I'm like, oh my God, what are we doing here? But I do realize that at the end of the day, you can't have it all. You can't have it all in the sense of that they've got a lot of progress here and they've got a lot of opportunities, and that's one of the reasons you're here studying, because not only is it opportunities for international recognition, you said for karate and now for obviously also your, international business degree?
Yes, international business, exactly.
Okay, nice. How long do you have to study with that still?
Yeah, so the degree in total is 4 years. I've done 2 years, so I'm on to my 3rd year now. So still have to complete that. So 2 more years in total to still go.
Cool. That's lekker. And then you're working part-time, obviously, to fill in the gaps and make some money and earn some cash. And I just wanted to say, so then we're going back to, you left South Africa, made the decision, obviously you left May 2022, because you would start then obviously in September, right?
Yes.
Okay. How did you find it when you landed here? Had you been here before?
Yeah, so one of also the reasons why I came here is I was here when I was a bit younger with my family, and I fell in love with the place. I really loved it.
It is charming, hey?
Yeah, extremely. As a tourist, you come here, and obviously now I understand the country properly, so a different perspective for sure. But yeah, it's if you're looking at it coming in summer, looking at the canals, the vibe, the food, the culture, it has its own beauty. Like South Africa, obviously, I would say is elite, but the Netherlands also has a lot of beautiful...
It's a different beauty. Yeah. It's a different beauty. I do miss the mountains, That beauty I miss. I miss the ocean. Like, there's oceans here, but they're not the roaring waves. It's just like little puddles of low tide, which is great, but there's also the colors and the dynamic sun coming up and the going down, and there's all this just amazing beauty on the landscape. Here, it also has that beauty, but it's just different. It's not better or worse, it's just different. And I think because we grew up with all of that in South Africa, it is like everybody here is getting ready for autumn. I'm in my body and mind still like, oh man, it's September, it's October, it's spring, almost summer. No, Janine, it's autumn, it's 13 degrees. Be real.
Yeah, but at the same time, also when it comes to winter in these countries, I mean, we both lived there for a bit now, but at the same time, it's different. It sometimes snows. It's a lot colder.
I cheated a bit though. Yeah? Even though I came here 2016, I was like in and out. So I missed winters. And now I can understand why I was missing the winters. But unfortunately and fortunately, I don't really want to live in that space of up and down anymore. Although I miss South Africa and I still have stuff there, I will remain connected there and I will always be out wherever I am promoting South Africa because of where we come from. And I'm so lucky to have my sister and her husband having joined. My mom's also come over. My brother's in Europe. He is into big time coaching and managing of cricket and rugby. So now he's working for the European Cricket Union. There's a podcast on him as well. And awesome. Just my sister, my older sister, still in South Africa. But, it's like... what we really realized, as my sister and my mother often and my brother speak about, is that we want to bring South Africans together here because of the understanding that it's hard enough to actually, have to deal with the climate and how it's all different to how you were brought up, the difference in the nature. Because yes, there is beautiful canals here and there are beautiful nature walks, but it's just very different to how we know. So, having my sister do the lacquer store and bring in all of these beautiful South African products, giving us this. The chat that we have with you in the podcast and when we speak to a lot of people, it's just like it's really bringing into line that Ubuntu, that we can actually progress forward in another country, helping ourselves explore and bring our own character and schmack to the space, but maybe rubbing off a little bit, and letting other people that live here get a little bit of this. I was with a Dutch friend of mine yesterday, and remarkably she said to me, and it was a simple comment, you've been through so much, but look at you. You're still positive and sparkling. And I'm like, I think it's because I'm South African.
Yeah, no, it's true.
I'm so used to going through this that I almost know trauma so well that I don't know how to live in joy. And people here live in joy and they know it well. So when trauma comes, they don't know how to, so I'm on the opposite end. And actually, I think a lot of South Africans, just maybe to differing degrees have experienced this. So let's come to now chat a little bit about after your studies and what you're doing now. You're saying you're working at RZA.
Yes, Rhiza, yes.
Yeah,
Rhiza.
Rhiza.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Rhiza and what you actually do there, because it's connected to the Johan Cruyff, which is a well-known soccer player. I did a little bit of research. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know at first. I was like, who's this? So give us a little bit of explanation about it, because it's also very, very remarkable of the work that they're doing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for me, of course, working for a Dutch company, but their connections is all to South Africa. And that's what drove me originally to work in this company. So due to my studies, I did my internship at this company for 4 months. And they really were amazing. They gave me this opportunity to work, and they really allowed me to do a lot of work and to get involved. So one of the projects is with the Johan Cruyff Foundation. They're based in Amsterdam.
Okay.
And what they do is their initiative is to build AstroTurf football court, like a five-a-side court, around Africa, around the world. And this initiative basically is for underprivileged communities, where they provide a place for them to play football. It's a holistic approach, as well as they provide for them opportunities to really play football, enjoy it, as well as provide equipment for them and just a safe place to play, because in South Africa often places get vandalized, they're not safe at night, and it just provides them a safe and secure environment to really enjoy football. Yeah. So with Rhiza, currently I was working with them with the marketing and fundraising departments, and we currently are actually going to be launching 2 courts in South Africa, one in Joburg.
Oh, that's lekker.
And one in Cape Town. Yeah, so
where in Joburg?
So in Orange Farm in Joburg.
Orange Farm. Yeah. I know Orange Farm.
Yeah.
That's out on the south.
Yes.
Well, yeah, Little Mayerton kind of. Yeah. That way, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm from the east, so I'm that way.
No, it's okay. Yeah, so one is being launched there.
Okay.
So at the end of November, so on the 28th, we're going through, and that's when the launch is. And it's going to be great. We have a lot of good partners involved. I don't know if you know Betway.
I must say I don't.
So
what is Betway?
Basically they are a betting company, but they sponsor a lot of big football, a lot of good.
They do good with the work that they're the rewards. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure you know the Premier League, like in football wise. West Ham United, they're big sponsors. So luckily they got on board with this, and it was really great to have them. And then we're going to Cape Town, and we're launching there on the 30th. And so I think it's going to be a really exciting launch. And I think this is going to provide so many opportunities to kids that just either have the passion to play football
and don't have the opportunity,
or
underprivileged, or that's amazing. That's actually really, really nice. Such community work, and I love that. It's like giving back. And like I said earlier, it's a privilege to help the underprivileged. Because at the end of the day, it's so humbling to realize that so many times in the mind space, we're like, I need more, I want more, I have to get more. And we strive to do that, but to actually sit down and to really think about it, that what you have, a large majority of the population do not have. And we're talking about fundamentals like water even. So, to give this back is really nice. And I think that for you, again, it's bringing you into that community space from what you learned in the karate. You're bringing the international business degree. Explain a little bit more about this international business degree. How is that helping you with this is an internship you're doing with Rhiza?
Yeah, so it was originally internship. Now
Okay.
I'm just working there as a job, which they offered me, which was great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but in terms of international business, I think, it's taught me so much because, as I say, I can in South Africa and they have really good universities there. But I think the difference for me is like just the different cultures, speaking to someone, just a simple conversation can teach me so much of a way that someone acts, the way someone speaks. Of course, for me, it's in English, so it's my first language, but for someone else who necessarily can't really express themselves absolutely perfectly, and it's just a very interesting conversation. And I just learned so much about the way people act in certain situations from all the different countries. And yeah, for me, that's really taught me a lot about myself as well, because if you just see how South Africans act in certain situations, that's your perspective. But if you see how everyone from all over the world can act, you can also improve yourself, learn about other
you just
people.
start adding it to your little bucket. You take a bit from there, a bit from there, a bit from there, and you create your own perception of it, your own understanding of what it is that you learn from that place. That's why travel is super, super inspiring for me, because you always learn something different about somebody else's culture. And then you can take what resonates and you can drop what doesn't, and then that's it. For me, ultimately, I believe in that, And I think that if you're studying the international business, this gives you the opportunity. Obviously, here in Utrecht, there's so many different internationals. I mean, like in your subject or in your degree, how many different cultures could you just, you don't have to name them all, but just randomly, how many different kinds of people are there?
Yeah, off my head, we've
Kinds
got
of people, cultures. How many cultures? How many different people from different countries?
Yeah, it's for example, like Romanian, Spanish, a lot of Italian. Obviously,
I love
there's
the
the
Italians
Dutch.
when they speak the English.
Yeah, they're very expressive people.
Oh man, it's like they're singing to you. It's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, the Greek. There's
Any Lithuanians?
I've met one or two, but not too
Nice.
many. More South Africans
Oh.
that come here quite a lot. So I'm always so stoked when I get to meet them, and it just comes back to home. You chat so easily, and
Sitting in a lecture and all you hear is yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me, are you South African? Yeah.
No, exactly. I couldn't change that.
I
That's
went
exactly
to
how
an
the
event
conversation
last
goes.
week, Wednesday. It was a full day event, some marketing thing, and I actually sat in the lobby and I was like, you know what, I could pick up 3 at least South Africans, just in the way they were talking. Some were there for the event, some were just staying at the hotel that it was hosted at, but it was just so interesting. I never got to speak to them, there wasn't time, but it was so wonderful to just know at least there's 3 in a room of 200. There's 3.
Yeah.
So nice, so nice. Okay, but then now, so let's talk about a little bit about, we've said what you miss about South Africa and what you love. I know that when we were chatting, you were saying to me that it was like things like the nature and the weather and the family and your friends. And the things that you didn't miss were the things like, potholes and no job opportunities and kind of like the stagnation that South Africa may experience right now. But I'm just wondering, for the Netherlands, what is it that you love about this place, and what is it that you kind of get annoyed about, or just it just doesn't hit your groove?
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting question, because for me, what I dislike about the Netherlands and what I like, I think there's more things I like, to be honest. But yeah, I love the public transports at the end of the day. That's, I think, one of the most important cultural shocks I had, where I could just travel everywhere. It was always on time. Because in South Africa,
Plenty coming 15 minutes every 15 minutes. This is what is remarkable for those that don't know and that are living in South Africa and never been here. It's like if you're going from one destination to the other, you literally have hundreds of options throughout the day, because there's just one every 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think also just the easy way of life, because, like, as I say, I came here when I was 19 years old, and to move to a complete different country can be very hard. But I think also the Netherlands provides you with quite a safe place where you can do what you want. It's quite like a lot of stores.
Yeah.
It's very accessible to buy everything that you need.
Online is also fantastic and very well-oiled machine. You can order today and get it tomorrow. It's absolutely amazing. And you can get up to 12 o'clock at night to order something. It's scary in a way.
Yeah, no, you're right. Order too much. But everything just runs super smoothly. So I think maybe it is daunting, of course, to move to a complete different place or across the continent. But it's I think it provides you with quite an easy lifestyle to quickly, just get used to and
just to integrate into. It's not difficult. It would be, I think, very difficult for somebody moving from the Netherlands to South Africa to integrate.
Yeah.
Because then it'll be a culture shock on the other end where there's no transport. You have to have a car. Mind you, there are a lot of Dutch people that have cars here anyway, so it's not like they're just on bicycles and trains. But it is a fantastic, fantastic way of moving around.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't want to drive and you don't have a car and you don't have it. It's not even about not having a car. It's like, really, where do I park it? And if I'm going to park it, unless I'm in the suburb or in a village, I'm not going to be able to park it for at least no payment. I'm going to have to pay something for this. So in my situation, I'm right in the Binnenstad. So I'm just like, you know what, no car. I'll use my bike when it's cool and it's nice and I feel like I want to. And then the rest of the time it's public transport, which in South Africa I don't have a choice. It's my car or nothing.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think it's a very fit culture, I would say, because you're cycling all the time.
Yeah.
Of course people do take public transport and drive, but especially, it's just widely used here and it's just accessible. Things are a lot closer. For example, in Cape Town and Joburg, it's you kind of have to drive. I mean, if you can't just cycle, it's just you will die.
But that's it. It is the distance from places to places. It's because of the country being a lot bigger geographically. Yeah, of course, it makes sense. But I think as well, it's like if we did have a well-oiled machine, it could be easier to travel from, let's for example just say in Johannesburg, you could travel from Bedford View, Eastgate area to Four Ways a lot quicker, a lot less on the highways, a lot less fuel. But we did try build a train, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I know we have
the Gautrain.
The Gautrain, yeah, which operates pretty good. I've been on it,
but it took a while, and it's had a lot of bashes before it got up and running. And still, if you look at it now, certain places you can get to with it, but not to your north. Like here, you can go to any kind of village or sub-village or main city by train, by bus, sometimes trams. Amsterdam's more operating on that, not so much like we don't have a lot of trams here. I think there's one that goes to the university in Utrecht, right?
Yeah, exactly. More in bigger cities like Amsterdam, the trams run better,
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, these are the differences, and this is the infrastructure. So the thing is, like I said earlier, you can't have it all. But then just coming back to the story of your moving here, when you feel like that, okay, then there's got to be stuff that makes you feel a little bit like,
yeah,
damn these Dutch.
No, 100%. I think
joking.
Of course, no, I love the Dutchies, but of course, it's my choice to be here and to live here. But I do want to speak English most of the time. Of course, it's nice to integrate into a culture and learn a new language. Of course, Afrikaans and Dutch is similar, but it can be a bit difficult. Of course, my studies is in English, but day to day, when you're ordering or sometimes you go somewhere and they just don't speak.
Mag ik betalen? Mag ik rekening? Mag ik bestellen?
Yeah, so I definitely think it can be difficult stages because also sometimes when I work, they don't want to speak English a lot of the time. They want it to go smooth. They want to speak in Dutch, and I completely understand. But it just obviously makes it just a little bit more
I get
difficult.
that, yeah, I get that. I offer classes at a yoga studio in English, but whenever I go to the classes, it's difficult for them to just switch over into English for everybody. So I'm in the class listening to it in Dutch, which is fantastic. It helps the vocabulary. But I was saying to a friend of mine yesterday, it's like it takes a lot of thought and energy to be able to speak in Dutch because not only... And this is what I'm going to say to you about the Dutch language. Not only do you have to remember that the words are not the same as Afrikaans, you have to say them differently. And that's where I get tricked because I can speak Afrikaans to a certain degree. But now you're asking me to take that and either change the word or the pronunciation of it or both. And my mouth has to kind of move in a way that it's not used to.
Yeah.
And that's what I find tricky. And then I'll start, if I don't think about it, I'll start talking to my friends in Dutch and then I lose the vocabulary and I'm like, I got to go back in English, guys. But you can talk back in Dutch. I'll listen in Dutch and I'll reply in English.
It's exactly my same answer. I'm just like, I'll listen, but I have to speak in English if you want it to go smooth.
But it's interesting because I think a lot of people think if you know Afrikaans well, you can understand Dutch. But it's the way that like a friend of mine was saying that's Dutch. If I listen to Afrikaans, I can understand sort of a general of what's being said, but I won't be able to give you in detailed depth of what's being said. And that's how I feel about Dutch. I understand the overall, but if you had to ask me to break down what each word means, there are words there that I'm like, I'm guessing that that's where that sentence context is going.
Yeah.
And it's not real like accurate knowledge.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But what I find in this country as well is that it's very ironic, and I wanted to bring this up today because, again, it came into a conversation with a Dutch person this week, and it's like, it's such a ironic thing that they are so driven and they're so productive that they have this real drive every day. And if you go around the cities here, I'm sure you'll notice, and even in the universities, there's this movement, and it's like pace, and people are on time, and there's time, and there's time. And so there's constant movement, but they have this ideal of, and a lifestyle of, not working more than 40 hours a week, so that they get the time to be off and have times for massage or go with family somewhere or go out just to have a lunch on the terrace. But then in South Africa, we work like 80 hours a week, but we're laid back. Yeah. There's a laid back sense in South Africa that's just like go with the flow, in the groove. And that is something that I battle with that on a lot of occasions, because everybody's working so fast to get this time off. And then I feel like it's like too separate. Needs to be like, let me work a little bit more, not 80 hours, but let me work a little bit more that I can work in this groove of, if it doesn't take an hour, okay, 2 hours. Even when you came for the podcast now, I didn't say like 1 o'clock and we're starting and that's it. And you got to be like, bro, let's just go with the flow.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think like one of the things I do enjoy about living here with the Dutch culture is they're always on time. I mean, I struggle a lot with that with friends, but they're always on time. They have a very productive culture. They work hard. And I think it's like very good to integrate yourself into and really get used to. Like, not that South Africans don't work hard at all. I think they're extremely hardworking people, like as we've said, like embedded in ourselves.
But there's no balance in it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think South Africans have a very relaxed balance, which is great. Sometimes I think, when I was in South Africa, maybe I was too relaxed.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Maybe we wouldn't work 80 hours if we're just going to dissect this now. Maybe we wouldn't work the 80 hours a week if we were actually working a little bit faster in the 40 hours. Because then we could do 40 hours of work and then relax. But I think at some point, some people are not in that situation. So let's not generalize. Some people have to put 80 hours in.
100%.
To actually make ends meet, and even then not, So it is, again, also job opportunities. And here they've got a real big problem. They have more jobs than they have people.
Yeah, no, it's
crazy.
But
they can't bring more people in because they don't have space. So, every country has its problems. It's just in differing degrees.
Yeah, you're right. No, it's. I wish we had the same problem they have here, to be honest. Not our one.
Well, I don't know, because the tax is also very high here. It's
that
like,
is
what
true.
What the? It's crazy, yeah. And then things that you don't like, I don't know if you've mentioned now.
Yeah, so, I mean, the things I would say I don't like most, besides the language and everything, I think, the cycling, I don't know, I love to get in the car and drive. When I was in South Africa, once you get your license, it's like a freedom sense. And, you listen to your own music, you can, drive by amazing views.
Put that little smelly nice thing on whatever you want on there.
So I must say, I do miss that. Yeah. I know like cycling is fun and whatever, but the weather here is really bad a lot of the time. And when you're cycling in pouring rain and it's cold, it's... I
cycled to the dentist the other day because I thought, don't be lazy. Don't take a bus. And there was nothing on the radar. And I got like 5 minutes out from the dentist and I was dry. But by the time I walked into her rooms, I was soaking because it just decided to downpour. And then it was sun shining afterwards, and I was just like, oh.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I think...
But did you grow up cycling?
See, that's the thing. I didn't grow up cycling.
See, none of us did, really.
Yeah, it's not normal, really.
No,
besides, like,
where? You're going to get knocked over. There's no roads for it. It's not safe.
Yeah.
It's too far distance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, exactly. I think it is a cultural difference, but
I
mean, it's fun. It can be fun to do it, and...
I think it's fun when you're able to do it in leisure and not when it becomes an everyday thing for you to do. And because they have the public transport, yes, you pay a little bit more for it, of course. But with the weather changing and everything, who wants to sit in a lecture soaking wet, because they came on their bicycle? Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. And is there anything else that you
Yeah. So there's one big thing for me, probably my biggest thing.
I thought there was something. There has to be something, Noah. Come on.
100%. It's especially, you will probably agree with me, coming from South Africa, the food produce here is very different. As you know, you guys have the Lekker store here. And it's like, once I found it out, it amazed me because I'm like, I can actually eat some South African.
What was your reaction when you came to the Lekker store?
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, I was like, I don't believe this exists. Like, it was really amazing to see. Not only because you're supporting South Africa here, but also just for me to be able to eat the food. Yeah. I mean, the meat, just your general.
What's your favorite thing in the shop?
I look around. It's hard to escape. For me, it's a simple thing. The spur sauce. I know it's gonna sound crazy.
It's not.
But when I go to South Africa, I don't know what it is. I'm sure every South African will agree with me. Spur is just, it's not that it's expensive or anything. It's just
a guy from Portugal, a South African from Portugal, and he just worked at Spur.
Yeah.
But he's much older. But he, when he was younger, worked at Spur, and we just both were just sitting there sort of salivating when we were talking about it again, because we were just remembering, and that Spur sauce. Yeah. Oh my God, with your chips and the onion rings. Oh.
Yeah, that. And I think also I love like milk tarts and bobotie. Those are my two favorites, like foods.
Nice, that's lekker, yeah. But also just to see all the different Simba chips, chipnicks, and Omar rusks, 5 Roses tea. You know, when I look at them, it's not only just a product, it's this nostalgia of almost like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
That's me, that's where I come from. And look, I mean, it's not to say that the Dutch don't have good things here, but I think it goes back to home comforts, what you've been brought up with. Because everything you've been brought up with, literally for 22 years for you, is in your system. So you've been here for 2 years, so up until 20, everything that you knew was South Africa.
Yeah.
And so that's the understanding, because I was also trying to explain to people that live here, like, you're all getting ready for autumn, and I'm just like, springtime is in my system. And I'm sort of trying to really bring myself to come into balance with that cyclical, but it takes time.
Yeah.
I think it takes a long time, actually.
No, you're right. I think the first year that I moved here was a lot more difficult because I moved here without knowing anyone, and it was kind of my choice to do that. I thought it would just be a great experience to be able to meet as many people as possible. Like, if I don't come here with them, I know, but I just thought it would be better. And I think now that I've looked back on it, it definitely pushed me to just be able to go up to people, have a conversation, get out of my comfort zone. But I must say it was difficult at times because you spend a lot of time by yourself. And I think in South Africa, you know, you go back to your family, your siblings, whatever it is, your friends, and it's quite like a close culture.
Yeah.
And then to be able to go back home and there's no one there, or you're just spending a lot of time by yourself, it just makes you think a lot. And it really, I think it was a good experience, especially, it mostly happened in my first year. But I think shaped how I saw things and really just made me grow up and really just mature in certain ways that I think would have taken me a bit longer if I was in South Africa.
And become more independent.
Yeah.
I think that's a key thing as well, is that, you know, the independency that you can get here is very, very cool. Because, you know, I don't think if you went to other countries it would be that easy an integration. Whereas here it can be that easy to just, because I've also been here, I've also walked the streets alone. I've also sat in many canals, sometimes with a joint, sometimes not. But I know that feeling. And that's what really drove me when I was feeling this urge to move here. And the idea was never to fully integrate and come here. The idea was just to bring the two vibes between and let my parents come and visit and me go back. But obviously after COVID and after losing my dad, it changed. But I just know that, like, when I was sitting here at that canal on my own, just listening to all the different accents around me, taking in this idea that I can sit at a canal with nobody coming to ask me for anything or feeling like I have to be on alert for my bag, or there's a lot of stuff that you start to realize when you get here that has been built in within you. And I just think that, you know, like coming here, then I thought, well, what? I kept saying Yussus to everyone, and then I was like, you know what? Let me bring a bit of Yussus flavor this side. Let me bring some South Africa here. Then at least when somebody buys a shirt or somebody sees the brand, they're going to feel like, oh, that's home, like you did when you walked in here and saw the Spur sauce, you know. And because of COVID, the clothing line didn't really progress much. It's still online. We'll talk about that just now. But my understanding of it all was like, hey, it's actually about talking to the people. Because once I've had a conversation with you or I've spoken to South Africans out on the street where I've met them, I really feel that feeling as if I'm back home.
Yeah.
And so why can't we have both worlds, really? And then when my sister decided to move here, and I had started with the podcast, I was like, perfect for her to open up something that brings, again, she's missing the family, she's missing the South African vibe. Her husband's missing his friends as well. My mom has not got her family comforts around her. So Saturday afternoons, my mom comes and sits here and just listens to the South Africans, chats, meets, talks about stories. There's plenty podcasts going on here without even us recording it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing, is that when you step out here, when you step out of South Africa, it's important to try, wherever you are in the world, to find the community, to find the people that make your heart passionate and tick. Because now you're also doing stuff here for South Africa.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Through this foundation.
Yeah, I think things
How
like
amazing.
that is very important because, I mean, like, my heritage is always there. And, of course, I am a little bit European as well. But, I have family there.
But
and
you
I
were
grew
brought
up
up with the braai, man.
100%.
You can't get that booty out of you.
Yeah, so, I think, well, just for me, the first thing that comes to my head is in terms of the Dutch culture. I know we speak a lot about South Africa, but when I think about the things I really like to do here, I know it's a simple thing, but because I'm living by myself currently, I find that with friends, there's a lot more freedom in what we do. So, for example, something simple like, cooking, eating together, and I think like that's something which I would probably not really do a lot in South Africa, and those type of things I really love and like enjoy to be able to do. Because
I think that's also because you're living a student life really as well,
Yeah.
which is nice. That's great. Being able to just be in the independent stage of cooking and not having mom cook the meal, and you come home and you eat it and it's easy and it's fantastic. But I think what you're enjoying the most now is the independence of actually being under your own roof and deciding what you want to eat and when you want to eat it and with who and how. So I think that also mixes in with being here in the Netherlands. It gives you that. If I think about the first thing I did when I left home is I went and moved into the south. And if I think about that, it was like it was a hard process to get through, of the fact that I wasn't at home and I was literally on the highway 10-minute drive away from my parents.
Yeah.
But I was still living in the lifestyle in South Africa does not give you that opportunity like you've got here.
Yeah.
So you can walk to the Albert Heijn, you can get yourself something to eat, you can make a one-meal man every day. But in South Africa, you would have to drive to the shops, and then you can't drive there every single day because it doesn't really the lifestyle allow you to. So you do a weekly shop, and then you'll end up with stuff in the fridge that you don't eat because you didn't feel like it, but you felt like it when you were buying it. And it's a different lifestyle. So I really see that how you can actually love that part of it, because now that you're actually spreading your wings, you're in a place that supports this.
Yeah, exactly.
It gives you that opportunity to jump on and off a bus, on a bicycle, whatever, train, and just be free. Yeah. What do you do for a social life? What is the thing that 22-year-olds are doing nowadays?
Yeah, so when I find some time
in Utrecht.
Yeah.
You're living in Utrecht, right?
I'm living in Utrecht. Yeah,
cool.
yeah, pretty close to here.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
Binnenstad.
Yeah, exactly, the best place. I'm super lucky, to be honest.
Yeah,
It's
me
a
too.
beautiful place. Yeah,
high five.
Yeah. But yeah, like in general, I have really nice roommates. We find time to just have a conversation, make dinner together, which is really nice. Then of course I got
all Dutch.
No, 2 international and 2 Dutch. So
okay.
I like living with the Dutch people because it helped me integrate a lot into the culture. Because when I first moved in, there was 4 Dutch people. So it really helped me.
That's nice, yeah, because you get them to
it.
have sort of your wings around you to coax you in, and you can ask, and can you translate, and what does gemeente mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get too many letters from them. Yeah.
Oh, thank God it's not the blue envelope. You don't want the blue envelope.
Yeah, no.
Bloody
true.
Belastingdienst.
Yeah, no, they scare me.
Yeah,
but
scary.
yeah. Other than that, I guess my university mates are like my core friends for sure. Just met so many people from there. And in general, yeah, I mean, I want to say the typical, we go out for drinks and party. The thing is, in the Netherlands, like, wouldn't say it's South Africa where you can go to nature, go to hikes, go to the beach. So that type of aspect is definitely what like I miss.
Yeah.
But here, often just go sit by a canal, grab a few drinks, make dinner. I would say like that's generally why I do also like to go to different cities and just explore the Netherlands, because it's like if you go to different cities, it's also people sound different, they act a bit different, food's different, so it's also nice to experience and experiment a bit.
I always find myself jumping out to Amsterdam whenever I'm feeling a little bit verkrampt in this town.
Yeah.
But it's not a verkrampt town at all. It's really a beautiful city. Utrecht is so amazing in its international vibes, but also holds very much a Dutch heritage. They haven't lost it to tourism like you would believe that Amsterdam has, but also Amsterdam's a lot bigger than here. So there are, I'm sure, on the outskirts a lot more of the Amsterdammers, which they sound completely different to the Utrechtians. But yeah, it's good to get out there. It's good to just, because I feel like I've been away. I feel like I've been in a new town.
Yeah.
And Amsterdam, I've always got a love for it because it was the first place that I went to. So for me, it's also that like creative out the box. People are kind of hip and hopping, but it's because of the tourism element as well. So, you know, the actual Amsterdam people themselves, they are also very much into this express yourself. Almost like Camden I see for like London, you know?
Yeah.
You've got Camden, and then you've got like Amsterdam for me has got that edge.
Yeah.
So when I'm feeling like it's a little bit too dull, just jump on a train.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think
Just
Amsterdam,
walk around.
Yeah, no,
Smell the air.
Oh. No, you're right. It's a different, just a change in environment for a few hours can make a big difference to your day.
Yeah, but you've got the accessibility to do it.
Yes.
Whereas I think if you go from Bedford View and you move to Fourways for the day, it's like still the same.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you've had this buzz out. Unless you've done something different, naturistic. But you were in Fish Hoek. And I remember like Fish Hoek was a beautiful town. Well, is a beautiful town. But I remember a lot of the times loving it so much because of the fact that it was warmer waters. And it was more of like don't get me wrong, the other side is beautiful. Like the Cliftons, Camps Bays, Sea Points, Green Points, the waterfront, all super, super beautiful. That's what I love about Cape Town as well. It's got all these very, very different things. But life growing up in Fish Hoek could have been very much a special thing, you know, with that sea where you're right by the ocean.
Yeah, I was also super lucky. My location-wise, we just lived like right on the mountain, and it was like 2 to 3 minutes.
So you're missing
drive.
the mountain, boy.
I am. I wish there were some hills here. I'm trying to find them, but yeah, they don't exist. Yeah.
All right, so let's see what else. Let's talk about a few things South African now. Let's talk about, we spoke a little bit about the food that you like. Anything else that you want to mention about food that you're actually loving at the moment? Because when we finish this pod, I'm going to do a little bit of an announcement of what's coming into the store. And I think you're going to love it because it's a lot of meat products and it's a lot of South African vibe.
Wow.
So yeah, this is growing.
I think the biggest thing, which you don't get here, is Biltong. So I think for me, that is a big thing. You know, obviously general meats are produce good, but Biltong is just different. The spices, when people think they think, it'll probably taste like beef jerky, they try it and just the spices blend in it and the different texture, it's just, it's way different. And
I'm loving that about the South Africans living here. There's a few South Africans, very good South Africans out here that are selling Biltong. And, you know, I know my sister's got a few of them here selling this stuff in the store, and my brother-in-law Emilio, he's really into trying to get the best quality for people in terms of he's even ordered a Biltong slicer, those old typical ones that you would go into the butcher's for, and then you would choose your piece, and then he would just slice it up, and if you want thick or thin, or and it's got whatever flavor. And so I know that at this point now, and it's coming from Namibia, this meat, this new Biltong that they're going to be doing, but that already brings the nostalgia. I mean, it's nice to get it in a bag, but it's also nice to watch the man pick out what you've chosen and then just let those saliva glands start to just zzz while he's ding, 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 ding in the machine. It's the experience. It's a sensory experience that we're missing, you know, that whole vibe. So, okay, and then milk tarts, obviously your faves. And what else? What else is something that you in sweets? Any sweets you miss? Any chippies?
I was gonna say I think the snacks also hit different for sure.
Chocolates.
Yeah, the chocolates.
Cadbury's is so far beyond for me than Milka or any of these other brands.
Yeah.
And that's no diss on them because when I don't have Cadbury's, I go to them. They're still edible, but Cadbury's got something else in it, an extra.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting so lekker now to eat something.
Yeah, I'm looking around. And I'm
no, me too. What the hell?
For example, the chips, everything, the Lays.
Chipnicks. Oh my God. And then Beacon Bites they had at one stage. Yeah. And those were just take me back to the swimming pool days.
Yeah.
You know, hit the vibe in the holidays, go to the swimming pools. For you, it would be the beaches. But for me, sometimes it was just like the public swimming pool on the corner of our road because we didn't have an ocean. But anyway, at the end of the day, we're still lekker growing up in Joburg. And then what words? I know you gave me a few words. Tell us about the words. Do you still use your South African slang here, or are you more prone to be like, you know what, I'm going to fit in with, because I get it, you can sometimes lose it until you see a South African and then it all starts bubbling up again and then you're like, oh, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, no, let's just say this. When I moved back home, sometimes my friends are like, you don't sound South African anymore. It's difficult because I think in day to day, I want to speak it. But of course, with my friends, I explain it to them, the words like awe and just and moy, you know. So it's...
Ooh, and we're getting a lekker piece of milk tart here. Check it that, guys.
Yeah.
We're just talking about milk tarts and check it that.
Looks amazing.
The Yussus fairy from the lekker store, Jessica, brought us a lekker piece. Oh my gosh, this is too amazing. I'm already salivating.
Yeah. No,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Dankie.
Yeah.
And a fantastic Fanta orange from South Africa.
No, this
guys,
for me
we're in heaven. We're absolutely in heaven right now.
Yeah, no, it looks beautiful as well. So nicely made.
Yeah, and this is the things I think that are going to bring South Africans that sense of peace and calm, because of the fact that they're going to get to a spot where they're going to realize, if I just eat this, or I go see this, or I'm with this community, or I listen to this podcast, and it's South African, it's going to keep that. So we were talking about the language and how it becomes difficult, that people don't actually understand when you bring in that slang, like let's go on the jaw.
Yeah, I think in my studies, I do business, you have to talk quite professional. So there, in classes and stuff, I'm not really using it as much as possible. But yeah, in my day-to-day, I can't not. It's just part of who you are. And to be honest, it sounds amazing. When people listen to it, I always get compliments. They always say, I love the way your language sounds. They always are curious about it. So I think it's really props to all the slang that we have, because it just sounds great and people really love it actually.
It brings a flavor and a humor to the actual language itself, because, I have a lot of Dutch friends around me that when I speak in the English and then I forget, because I'm comfortable, so I forget, and I'll say, things like, we're going to go on the jaw, let's get some chow, I'm going to go dos, and I just hear this, what? Oh, I'm going to go sleep. But I'm just so used to talking to them and feeling like, they'll understand, but I'm letting them learn a new vocabulary as well.
Yeah.
And that's how Yussus came around, because people in this town were like, what is this Yussus? What are you talking about? Like Yussus? And so I thought, well, put it on the shirt, Yeah. And then let's start a podcast.
Yeah. So, I'm super interested to hear. I know, I've heard a little bit, but what is, the main aim of actually doing these podcasts in general?
Okay, well, in general, it's really about bringing South Africans together and getting them the opportunity to tell their stories, because I've encountered many, many, many South Africans, from young, middle-aged to old. And the one thing that comes out to me is that they miss the home comforts, they miss the slang, they miss the culture, the warmth, the food. And so in my approach with it was really to bring South Africans together around the world, because we are segregated. And if you look at statistics, here it's 43,000 South Africans living in the Netherlands, and this is, I think, a poll done in 2021. And then you've got 200,000 in the UK, and Australia 200,000, and you've got 130,000 in the USA. And who knows what's in the rest of Europe, because there's also a lot of European heritage that is moving. All the kids are moving back. So Second World War, everybody moved to South Africa, and now it's this whole return of the South Africans with heritage. Yeah. And so pretty much what it is, the aim here is to let people tell their stories, because when they can express how they're feeling, it takes away that stigma of I'm alone. You just said it. I sat here and I was alone. And so I'm really trying to help people to find that space, that even if they can't see each other, because one's living in Rotterdam and there's just listen to the podcast. You'll hear two South Africans talking. It'll give you something, and by hearing somebody else's story might inspire you to come and tell your story. And then if we can all hear each other's stories, because again, we're Ubuntu. I am because you are, and that is it. Yeah. And I started out with the T-shirts. I did it a bit backwards. A lot of brands start out with the podcast and then they start the merch afterwards. And I come from a branding background, so that was my aim before COVID, to do T-shirts and then to have people come here and wear shirts and go to a party where it's all Dutch people and you're wearing Yussus and it says South Africa's Wildest, and you're like, hey, what's that? And that's our language and Yussus, and it gives you some form of identity, because I think that's also when you move to another country, you almost feel like your identity is being lost. Speaking to another lady who's South African said, you know, like I feel like all the stuff I knew and all the words I spoke and the way that I vibed has all been sort of like taken away from me. And it's almost a space that I have to create anew. But it's not to say you have to create anew. That is completely not who you are. But it's to incorporate all of that. And like I said earlier, rub a little bit of off on the Dutch people who love South Africans. And then allow the South Africans to take on a little bit of the Dutch and how they do things so that we can improve and evolve and grow.
Yeah.
And that's the idea.
Yeah.
And I'm going to also, with Jessica and Emilia, we're going to do a few days here where we will be promoting the shirts, because I think everybody should have a shirt.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like when I walked in, I saw the merch and I was like, yeah, well, I would love to wear this, because I mean, I often wear a lot of my South African rugby t-shirts or something, but always something that's so cool. The word Yussus
makes you feel good, makes you feel like you're representing where you come from. It gives you your identity of who you are, because you can lose that here. But it's also a conversation starter.
Exactly. It gives
people
something original.
an opportunity to kind of know you before they know you.
Yeah.
And I was showing these to you earlier, and I think that when people can feel them and people can walk in here, because the way they've been made is really just also, again, a story behind it to show the uniqueness of South Africans. So there's like this rainbow collection of shirts, different colors, different branding, and everything's been done so that we can show how different we are but we're still working as a community, or we still fit, or we still mix. I mean, it's remarkable that we haven't struck out into war with the amount of differences in that country.
Yeah.
Yet the difference brings us together.
Yeah.
And so this one was this idea to take my white trash brand that I started many years ago, from 2000 to 2006, the time you were born, your first 6 years of life, and evolve it. And to take with it all of the experiences that I've had about being South African. And my brother and his now wife were attacked in 2018 in my house very violently for 5 hours and very savagely. And
yeah, sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And look, they're better people. And what they experienced, nobody will ever understand. But that also was a point where I had just started Yussus. And then I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, F South Africa. You know, we're getting slaughtered and nobody gives a shit. Yeah. But another part of me came out and goes, well, yeah, that because of what happened to them, people are leaving and they're moving to other places. So let's just create a South Africa globally. Yeah. You know, it's not the land, it's the people. Yeah. And that's where the Yussus is. Yeah. This is where we decided to go. And I'll put up a link to the page, but I mean, the quality and everything is all made in Mauritius. It's all based on the information and understanding I learned in my 6 years of branding and marketing and printing. I had a design studio myself. So, you know, I would love to get South Africans to wear this stuff, because what I will do with it eventually is everything that I make out of it, I will start something in South Africa. I support a lot of kids in South Africa who don't have the finances to get education. So when we talk about privilege to help the underprivileged, that was never a question when I was growing up on schooling. Yep. It was a done deal. And it's only because of that schooling and that privilege that I can be privileged to sit here today. So let me give it back. Otherwise, what's the point of it?
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. Like, that's why, you know, you mentioned the projects that I do and stuff like that. And I think, like, it's so important to still, you know, connect to your South African roots, because I feel like you can't give up on a country like South Africa, because, as you say, the place may be a little messed up right now, but the people are amazing. Yeah. And that's what really makes the country. And that's why, if we have the opportunity to help out, I'm more than happy to still, you know, be able to help out as much as I can, even though I'm still, you know, growing in different ways. But to be able to help out is still a very important factor.
And I think ultimately, if you just think about it, Noah, the fact of the matter is that what is life if you can't give back what you have learned and experienced and acquired? It's just an accumulation for one day when you die to split with the people that you left. And I'm sorry to be so cynical in a way about it, but I'm not cynical about it. It's taught me that to understand that everything you get is about sharing it. Yeah. And first with yourself, so that you continue to be this vessel to be able to create this, and then on to other people. So that is the drive, you know. The drive is always to give back. This podcast at the moment earns us nothing. I don't give a damn. It's a love job. It's 1 o'clock on a Thursday. I should be doing other work to get money. No. What is my passion? My passion is talking to South Africans, bringing them together, creating a community, helping us grow. Because then the guys like you who have the bravery are not 100% all over in South Africa. But if they know there's communities all over the world that they can actually connect with. And I mean, the Lekker store is promoting this every single day. These guys work as hard as I've ever seen anyone. Like, they drive and their willpower and the sheer fact that they just keep going 6 days a week. And they've got 2 kids, you know. So it's like, you understand that this needs to be shared, because then other South Africans see it and they're inspired by it, and then they start bringing their own boerewors or making their own things, or they start bringing in product, making samosas and all. Do you know what I mean? Like, it inspires other South Africans to, all right, let me also promote my country, and I can also make something out of it as well.
Yeah.
You know, the more the merrier.
Yeah, I think one of like the most powerful things is connecting it, because there are a lot of South Africans, as you say, move here and live here. And if there were to be more that would connect in certain ways, we could, you know, help a lot more. And
I have like a list long of South African people that I just have put my number out to and said, listen, when you're having a tough time, just give me a shout. I'll send you some inspiration.
Yeah.
And I'm only doing that because, thank God, I've been given this gift to be able to take that darkness and turn it into light. And I know that the more I expand myself out to offer that for people, some of them don't even message me. But the fact that they know that there's somebody in this country that can be messaged if they're having a hard day, or there's a podcast you can listen to, you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
It makes a difference.
In the Netherlands, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, do you listen to any South African bands, or do you have a celebrity or South African besides Trevor Noah? For Noah.
Yeah, I think, well, music-wise, okay, I come from Fish Hoek, and...
Sorry, I'm going to have a bite
yeah,
of
I was
this.
going to say, before I dive into
I'm
that...
just staring at it, and it's just staring back at me. So, sorry, guys, we're taking a milk tart break.
I have to have another bite.
Go for it. Close your eyes.
I haven't had milk tart in so long.
Close your eyes and just imagine you sitting in a Lekker cafe, a Doppio, in South Africa, eating a milk tart.
Sorry, I need one more bite.
Go
it's so
for it.
good. Holy.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
South African vibes. So do you still do you show your friends like, hey, check out the South African band, or?
Yeah, so for me, I do love the local music, of course. Not what I listen to every second, but I don't know if you know Beatenberg.
Beatenberg, no, I haven't heard of them.
He's a local from Fish Hoek, actually, but he started off just, you know, going to local places in like Utrecht, for example, which is also quite close in the area.
I love Utrecht.
Yeah.
I used to sell white trash in Utrecht and Fish Hoek.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Been around.
Yeah. But, no, great areas. And, yeah, he started up there. But, yeah, I love his music. It's just, when I listen to it, it makes me feel happy. It makes me feel back to South Africa, because his music, like, if I picture listening to his music, I picture I'm at a beach and I'm just relaxing in the sun, got South Africans playing some rugby around me. Like, that's what his music makes me think about. Like, every person I play for, Dutch or whatever, international, they always just say this sounds like such happy music. And I think, like, South African music in general, like Amapiano or any of these type of South African beats that people are making, it's such feel-good music to enjoy, to dance to groove to, you know, and... yeah, I think South African artists really hit that on the spot, whether it's like motivational, whether it's just enjoying, whether it's just relaxing music. And I think it's, I really love that part about South African music.
Also music is representative of emotion. And I think if you think about the emotional stories of the millions of South Africans, and you think about them then putting that into words and into music, it's impactful. Because there's a depth, there's an authenticity.
Yeah.
And... I think, you know, this is all artists. It's not just South Africans. Like, you really, you know, your pains are your biggest creations, expressions. And that's interesting that you brought that topic up about the South Africans, because it's true. Like, a lot of the bands that I listen to are just, you can feel it in the gut. Like, it's this chutzpah, you know, this like rawr. And it's sad, though, because I don't listen to a lot of it often, but then I do say the Lekker Store plays often all of the South African tracks, promotes a lot of the bands, and that's nice, too, because then you're sitting here and in the background, the subliminal sound of, like, who do they play here quite a lot? Kurt Darren or some of the other,
Johnny
Johnny
Clegg.
Clegg. Yeah, what
Yeah.
a legend, what a
Yeah.
legend. You know, and that's just to name a few, but it's this whole infrastructure of bringing people together, because that is the crux of the human existence, is to connect with others. And so, yeah, we're going to go into a little bit of now the words, back into the words. You were saying you like to use aware, and that's obviously a Capetonian thing.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's just, I think it's the most universal word. You can use it for anything. If you're greeting someone.
But it's interesting because the Joburgers don't use that.
Yeah.
So when you say aware, it's like, you know, it falls a little bit flat. So with even in the South African different provinces, you have that element of, like in also Cape Town, they use hosh or hosh.
Yeah, hoss, yeah.
Hoss. How do you say it? I mean, I'm always like hosh, no, hoss.
Hoss, yeah.
Hoss.
Yeah, no, we have such cool words. I mean, like, as I say, I want to use them all the time, but people just look at me and they're like, what are you saying?
You should.
But it's super interesting. Like, aware, my favorite word, one of them is also, like, obviously lekker, which is similar to...
Yeah, lekker.
Yeah.
Not lekker.
Yeah.
Lekker.
With an A,
Yeah,
that's what I
lekker.
told the Dutch people.
Yeah.
I also love just because,
Yeah,
like, you're having a good day, or when you explain something, you say, it was cool, you say it was just, it sounds so much
So
better.
it's another, just for people that don't know what jas is, it's like another word for cool or kif or lekker, you know, or nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's also another one. Power and nice and yaw and bottom and yeah, it's lekker.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
See?
I think our slang is definitely elite to any other country, to be honest.
I love it because you also put on the list moi.
Yeah.
And I was watching a YouTube clip back in the day when I first started these podcasts up. And interestingly, just talking back to music, when I did start Yussus, and when things went down with my brother, and I was ready to give it up, I was looking for a sign. And the universe sent this on the radio. Youngster from Cape Town with his song Yussus, but it's Yassis, Yussus, but it's da-da-da-da, Yussus, da-da-da-da, Yussus. And all I heard in the background while I was writing actually a marketing strategy of how to go forward if I was gonna, all of a sudden I was like, what? Yussus? Yussus? Somebody's saying Yussus? And then I saw it was him. And I love the understanding that, you know, like at the end of the day, you've got all these understandings of the words and what they do for you. And then I started looking up on YouTube clips, and this chick from America was talking about, was talking about moi. And she was saying, moi. What's moi? Moi, because they were going through South African words.
Yeah.
And I was so interested in that, because if you do look at it as an English speaker, you would look at it and say moi. But we say moi.
Yeah.
It was moi, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was like, yeah, it was so interesting to watch that. And do you use moi a lot? Because here I use moi and people are like, no, you don't use moi. I'm like, I'm not trying to speak Dutch. I'm speaking about Afrikaans slang, the way we, you know, the South African slang. So...
Yeah, no, I do use it as much as I can. I think lekker and mooi are my two most words that I use here because, I mean, they're kind of similar to Dutch, so people understand it. The connotations, I mean, ours is a little bit different because we can use it in a few different circumstances, whereas Dutch, I think they use it...
These circumstances and
Yeah.
not circumstances.
Yeah.
Dance and dance.
Yeah, no, it's embedded.
Because also the English here is very Americanized.
Yeah.
And it's also because of watching a lot of American TV shows and American movies that they do have that, it's not as deep as the American accent, but it's definitely an English American.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the, I stand in a lot of places and I'm like, dance. People are like, huh? Oh, dance. Okay, they get it.
Yeah, I think like...
Circumstance.
Yeah, when in terms of language-wise, no one's ever guessed South Africa. They always guess America, British, Australian. Those are the... I never get South Africa, so...
I know. I get that a lot. And then a lot of times it's like, oh, you're Australian. And then I'm just like, no. Put me next to an Australian.
Yeah.
I'll show you I'm not an Australian. I might sound sometimes like an Australian, but I'm not an Australian.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, mate? I'm proper South African.
Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it.
It's so good.
Do you remember that chicken advert? It looks so good because they eat so good. They look so good. Farmer's Brown. Was it? Farmer Brown. They look so good because they eat so good.
No, I do not remember it, but...
Oh, you see that generational story.
Yeah, it could be.
I was trying to look up today as well. I was thinking, like, what music era were you in then? Because if you're only in 2002, what is your era of like your teenage years? What were you listening to?
Yeah, I guess like just mostly what people call pop now, like
Avril Lavigne and
all these people. Like I mean, listen,
Ed
when I was
and- Ed
younger,
Sheeran.
like Ed Sheeran. Let's say the Justin
what
Bieber.
genre do you like? Is it metal or is it pop or is it hip hop?
Yeah, so now it's obviously I do not listen to those. Now it's more like it depends on the situation or the vibe. But my favorite is, let's say, more like R&B, alternative rap. I also listen to like a lot of rock and just like, or even older music. I really love like the classicals, like the Michael Jackson, like Queen, all these amazing artists. Because at the end of the day, we have good artists now.
The rock
like
stars, the real deals.
Exactly. Like as much as I do like the music we create now, like I like really like Mac Miller, or I don't know, it's a British artist named Tom Misch. They make really good quality music, but you listen to Michael Jackson and all these amazing artists, Bob Dylan,
They're timeless.
reggae.
They're timeless. That's the thing about them. And I think that obviously there is differences now, but I think also the way that the generation changes and the way that the times go, you find yourself in the space where you're really realizing that, like, back in those days, the Michael Jackson days and the Madonnas and the, all the Prince, they're timeless and Seal, and they'll be listened to for years and years and years. But then you've also got the upper generation, like the Britney Spears and the, not the Britney Spears, man. I was thinking of Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, yeah.
Taylor Swifts, and then you've also got the Justin Biebers, and and I just look at it all and I just think to myself that, times change, music changes, but you'll always have those timeless, because in those times it was new, it was innovative, it was like maybe even nostalgic.
Yeah, I mean,
and maybe played over and over and over by your parents.
Yeah, no, that is very true. And
Roy Orbison.
When I was younger, they would always be like, "Yo, listen to this. Whatever you're listening to is absolute crap." And like I'd always be like, "No, what I listen to is better." But when you grow up a bit and you actually listen to the quality, what they're speaking about, especially like in reggae and the genre.
But I've realized that a lot of your generation still sits and listen. My niece is the same. Will listen to all of the stuff I listened to growing up.
Yeah.
And that's talking about because it was my parents' favorite things, and she's into it, and I'm just like, wow, I thought you would have progressed, but it's almost like, no, you're going to what's quality.
Yeah.
And not to say the stuff that's coming out now is not quality, but there's definitely a story behind it. So I wanted to ask you, would you ever return to South Africa?
Yeah, I think in the future, 100%, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like as we spoke about, it's the most beautiful place. I have family there. It's just while I'm young, I think from me personally, this may not be for everyone, but what I believe is from ages, 20 to 30, you can take risks. You must do something that may not necessarily be in your comfort zone, do something that will, be more difficult, because, once you're hitting 30 and above, like you will limit your risks that you take. So for me, that I've got the opportunity to be in Europe.
You're so wise and you're so young, hey? And I'm just sitting here wondering to myself, like, sure, definitely got a wisdom and a maturity. It's nice to see and nice to hear. Nice.
Thank you.
But I want to ask you as well, do you have a question? Do you have a message for South Africans living here, abroad, and also back in South Africa? Is there something you'd like to say to them, just from being here for 2 years and what you've experienced? And
yeah, I think to all South Africans that are still back home, I think, if it's right for you to be in South Africa and you see yourself living there and you love it, as I do too, then I say all means stay there. If you have an opportunity and you want to challenge yourself and you can see yourself living abroad in Europe, the Netherlands, whatever it may be, I think the risk is really worth it, because it will teach you so many important things personally and professionally. So I think if you want to take the risk and you can, then I would 100% say it's worth it.
Cool. Thank you. That's a lekker message for South Africans. And top 5 countries you want to visit next?
Ooh, I'm going to say Iceland is probably
nice.
on
That's
the
a
bucket
nice
list.
first one.
Yeah, we'll put Italy.
Nice.
For sure.
Where in Italy? Is it just Italy in general, or like Rome or Florence or Milan?
Yeah, I don't have a specific place, but
Okay.
I think, Florence, Rome, they're all beautiful. I definitely want to go to the Balkan countries, so more like Romania, Albania, all those type of places.
I've heard it's beautiful.
Yeah, amazing places. Also a beautiful ocean and scenery. And then, of course, I'm going to say Lithuania. I need to
Yeah,
make
you have
an
to go
effort.
see your roots.
Yeah.
Mine is also, I have Dutch heritage, but I also have Lebanese. And that's on the bucket list. I want to see Beirut. I want to visit, but it's, you know what, the time always seems to be under such heavy war zone vibes. But I've heard from a lot of people, you go, you enjoy it. It's like a Paris of the Middle East, you know. So I want to see it for my heritage, though. That's definitely the thing. So we'll come back to you in a minute. I just wanted to do a little bit of a mention here about the Lekker store. So the Lekker store has gone through a couple of changes. And as you will see from the clips that we will show on this podcast, that there's a new layout. And they're bringing in new stuff into the store because they really want to start bringing the exploration vibe here. So when you're coming here, you can do a lekker grocery shop to take home with you for the week, some frozen pies. You can take some malva pudding also frozen. They've got a lekker nice fridge in the front here where you can get boerewors rolls. Boerewors, braai packs. They've got a signature braai pack that they've brought out that they're actually doing themselves and getting manufactured. They've got some ribeye steaks and T-bone steaks coming in. They've also got some different boerewors flavors that they have opened the range to, which we are waiting for arrival. Some Angus beef patties for a lekker hamburger at home. And also they're going to be bringing in this, they've already got the Namibian dryvors in, but they're waiting on their proper biltong slicer, and then they will be offering that you can come and, you know, I want 20 euros worth of this biltong, get it sliced, grab on the go to your next job or back home. A little bit of a snack. They've also got Cook Sisters coming in soon. I mean, not Cook Sisters, samosas. Samosas will be coming. At the moment as well, they've just introduced some homemade chilies, hot and spicy, so that you can put that on your boerie roll. And then also the plain and amarula fudge. This woman is making plain and amarula fudge. I don't know if you're a fudge fan, but the fudge is absolutely divine. So if you're in the Lekker store, make sure you look for the fudge. They've also got tasters for people to taste. She's also doing dardel bolletjies, which are date balls. Wow. And I think that's really great for people that are vegan or vegetarian because they will be a very good snack for them. And then the other thing that I'm very excited about is they're bringing in family-size pies. So you remember you go into the Woolies and you buy the family-size pie, and you take it home and you freeze it, and then when you have a really tough day and you don't have any ideas for what to cook, you put the pie in the oven and you look like the best housewife ever.
That all sounds amazing.
You can do it all in the go, you know. Yeah. And then one more thing that they're bringing in is coming soon is a wine tasting, because now they've opened their range to bring in South African wines. And that's one thing I know that everybody in this country, that whether you're South African or not, know that the wines from South Africa are absolutely amazing. A lot of the Dutch people are hungry to get their hands onto some South African wines. So they're going to be doing a wine tasting, and then they're going to have tickets on sale, so watch out for the social media pages. They've also got a new store layout coming out. So where we're sitting at the moment is currently okay, but then the freezer in the back is being removed, and they're putting some more chairs and tables coming around. So it's going to be a proper lunchroom vibe. Oh. So like you come in here, you get yourself your lunch, you sit on your computer, you do a bit of work, you listen to South Africans, you meet some new people, you maybe do a podcast with me if you're interested, and then you go on for your day. So you've got a bit of your fix, your SAFA fix. And then just in the groceries, like I saw the other day, they've got obviously the 5 Roses tea. They've got the Spur sauce, which you love. They've also got the Nando's peri-peri sauces in the different ranges. They've got a lot of spices, Robertson's, and I think it's Robertson's. I don't know. One of the spices. I don't think it's Robinson. Maybe it's Robertson's. I must check that out. But I know they've got a Lekker store spice, and they've also got a lot of chutneys and barbecue sauces. And what amazed me was the maize meal. They've got super maize meal here. Yeah. So I'm really impressed with that. A little bit of pap and boerie with a bit of chakalaka, tomato and onion mix. Yeah. Oh my God.
To like I just want to take it over now. They have to try everything you just mentioned.
Exactly.
It's a must.
And then of course they brought in some gem squash. When was the last time you had a gem squash with some butter and some salt and pepper?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I can't even remember, but I would love to taste.
I'm taking some home with me to make tonight. And then they've got like Omar rusks, and they've got Pronutros, the Simba chips, they've got the Fantas, the cream sodas, appetizers, they've got Klipdrift and Cokes, they've got Savannahs, they've got the ciders, the Windhoeks. So they really are expanding, and each time they're just growing bigger and bigger to bring it to a space that you come here to actually get some lunch, but also to do a grocery shop, to keep the home comforts at home. So when you're having a low day and you pull out that pie, or you pull out that gem squash or the malva pudding with the custard, you just give yourself that South African feel again. Your family as well can also connect still to the roots. It's important for us to always also let the people around us know, like, for example, my sister with her children, that they come from South Africa, and even though you're not living there, you still can carry that heritage. Because even though I was in South Africa, I carried Lebanese and Dutch heritage with me throughout my childhood. And so I just wanted to thank you for coming in today and to say I'm very, very impressed with the person that you are. And it was awesome to chat to you and be the first person on the camera. You did definitely give me a good strength. I don't know what it is. I do so many speeches. I do so many classes.
You're great. Yeah.
But you stick up a camera and an eye and I'm just like, ah. But put 100 people in front of me and I'm just like, whatever, you know.
No, it was for me as well so awesome to be involved in this. Like, as soon as I heard there was a podcast and a platform to be able to converse like this, I was like, it's a must. And you also yourself, you have such a great personality, such a cool person, so perfect host for this. So it was a really amazing opportunity for me. So thank you.
As I've been told before, I love to talk. I have the gift of the gab, and for me, it's all about just talking, because the more we can share with one another our experiences, and the more that we can connect to our roots, the more we will understand who we are. And that's what we're here for. It's the school of life, to find out who you are through the experiences, the people, and the places. And, you know, my brother said it at his wedding and his speech, you know, it's not about the destination. It's not even about the journey. It's about the people you take along with you in those moments that makes what life is about. Yeah. So on that note, I'm going to do a little bit of a ending with a drum and bass mix that that's my style of music, the drum and bass.
Okay.
So I just want to put it on and let us just groove out of here eating our milk tarties.
Yeah, I'd be keen to listen.
And drinking our Fanta.
Yeah.
And loving life. It's been great chatting to you, camera. And to the viewer who's looking behind. I know you're looking at us. And thanks again, Noah. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Cool. Take care.